Welcome, everybody, to DC Domingo again. I hope your quarantine has been, safe one. I myself have been, not doing much, just enjoying Elder Scrolls and working on resting. It looks like I haven't taken a vacation since 2016. Not a lengthy vacation, anyways, just, just working all the time. But anyways, so happy Christmas. Looks like today we got our little, present. And everybody's pretty damn excited. This is just like a really quick celebration of, what most of us in the Snyder Cut movement have been going through. And, I will have another episode that I was working on earlier in the week. I am reviewing a couple things. First of all, if you haven't seen, the latest animated one, Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, it's pretty fucking hardcore. Be warned. I do have a review, but I think I'm going to review all the animated ones that follow that storyline in another podcast. But anyways, this is just gonna be about the Snyder Cut, and then the other one that I'm gonna release this weekend. I'm gonna have like screen caps and all the cool shit I do. Alright, so how the hell did we get to this point? Well, I don't know if you guys remember, but when Zack Snyder exited, I believe it was Charles Schroeder from Legendary Pictures. He said that I don't know if it was him or Toby Emmerich, said that Zack Snyder had left some notes for, whoever was going to take the project and follow it up. But those notes didn't quite seem to bear fruit, based on the theatrical version. One of the things that was interesting is that I do believe that Zack did have a shooting schedule for the notes were probably for that 10% footage that wasn't quite finished, because all the rumors that we've heard about the Snyder Cut is that it was complete, but there was only maybe 10% that needed either color correction or a minor thing here and there, which is interesting. That way, the original report that somebody else was gonna follow what Snyder did were not incorrect, and those executives were not backstabbing Zack or anything like that. So it does seem like that level of care wasn't done with the original plan that was seen in theaters. But before that, there was the two-parter, Justice League Part 1 and Justice League Part 2. And from what it looks like, that was just condensed into one giant film after the Batman vs. Superman theatrical release was not well received because it wasn't Marvel friendly. And when people get used to one thing, that's all they know. For instance, the Pepsi generation didn't care for Coca-Cola and vice versa. So that's how most of these trades and the media were kind of getting used to it. If you get a bunch of revenue from articles praising the Marvel films, then all of a sudden, you're not going to support, Vin Diesel's Bloodshot or the new Hellboy movie or any independent comic book based movies because they don't get enough revenue for your website. So if your biggest competitor comes out with a movie, it's logical to just trash it. It's good business for these master clickbaiters, as I call them, not journalists, because journalism's supposed to be neutral. So that's where we were. And when I was watching it in the cinema, it was uncomfortable, man. because like there were parts of it that were really cool. Most of it like character development here and there, but there was it was something weird. It's like, imagine your best friend, after a hangover, somebody just woke him up and gave him a couple pills and just a bunch of coffee and be like, here, act normal. That's what the theatrical cut felt. It's like, dude, there's something fucking weird about you. Did you not get enough healing or something overnight? That's how it was. And if you look at my original Instagram, I'm trying to smile. I'm just like, I do remember that, like, how should I put it? There was like a little bit of a problem with the projector in our theater, but I think everybody in the cinema was just kind of like not giving a fuck, so nobody stood up and complained, or either they were too fucking embarrassed to get up and be like, hey, can you fix this movie? But anyways, my original review was very sympathetic to the characters themselves. I think that's what saved the movie. However, when I started to hear the rumors of like how butchered even those characters' story arcs were done, it even made me lose a little bit of like love from that theatrical cut to like just despise, because it's like it's somebody like doing dirty to your friends, and those were just mostly original rumors. I know, and during that theatrical release, there was a lot of fans from Brazil and India that were just super fucking supportive, super fucking knowledgeable, and respectful. There was a giant movement to just kind of embrace the best parts of this movie. I remember that Justice League was breaking records in Brazil. I think it was like the one that grossed most money that year or that month or something crazy like that. But big shout out to Brazil and India. The fans have been amazing. The wonderful thing from this experience is that on Twitter I've added many friends from there, and I get to see, like, for instance, their struggle with the real life bad guys over there in Brazil, and the struggles in India as well. Speaking of which, the cyclone right now, it's pretty horrible over there, and even today the fans from India were supporting our movement. That's a big fucking deal. Like, I don't know any other fandom that does this. So I didn't see that movie that many times in the cinema. I know, it felt kind of weird. The home release, however, I tried to love it, but again, there was, even in the comfort of my own home, when I can, have a beer or get up and walk around or, shake my fist to the air or whatever, it was still kind of like, it's not something that I watch all the time. It's not like Batman vs. Superman extended cut where, like, you have to make a day to watch that 3-hour long version. Not only because it's a long movie, because you're invested. These movies are not like, like one of those rom-coms from the 90s that last 90 minutes. It's just like, no, these things are not fast food consumable. They actually are well made. Even to this day, I only saw like the Joker twice in cinema, or I've seen it like twice at home release. I'm just like, that's small for like a superhero or DC Comics movie. Like, in comparison to V for Vendetta, I've seen that like, I don't know, 15 or 20 times, So even if something is dark and serious, there are some movies where you are heavily invested. I'm just like, fuck. That's why I love The Dark Knight Rises more, because I can watch it more often. That movie deals more with depression. Whereas The Dark Knight, the Joker just kind of keeps me on the edge of my seat and makes me really, like, edgy and uncomfortable. But sorry for the tangent. It wasn't this weird home release that I think things started to pick up. because while the theatrical cut of Batman vs Superman was actually successful, it didn't hit $1 billion, which The Dark Knight was the first one to do, and then Marvel just kept on doing that and kind of set the standards like, well, if your movie doesn't hit $1 billion, it's not good, which I'm sorry to say that doesn't translate to Oscars. So when the Batman vs Superman went on sale on home release, it broke a lot of fucking records because it included the director's cut. And that's when a lot of haters kind of started to go, hey, wait a minute, this is actually a movie that I would have loved to have watched. Now, if you're Warner Brothers and compare those sales with the sales of the Joss Whedon League movie, it didn't sell very well. I myself have the comic book cover steelbook of Justice League that just because Jim Lee did the design and it was really awesome. So I always kind of associate that theatrical cut with like a lighter tone, than what I was expecting. And I think WB kind of realized that, hey, wait a minute, we could have made a lot more money if we had followed, the Zack Snyder plan. And that's when things started to kind of move about. And I think what really cemented was definitely what the media was saying we fans were like versus what the fans were really like. I think the latest executive from Warner Brothers in charge, Anne Sarnoff, I want to say, she is really cool, but I think like the first day she got hired, like all the fans sent her flowers or like letters and stuff. And that's the kind of coverage that a lot of these clickbaiters and media don't really cover, So for instance, like we don't really harass people. We just kind of use the hashtag like everybody else on Twitter. And we are super thankful. For instance, if you go to all of the Warner Brothers owned Twitter handles right now who tweeted out today, just see us. Don't fucking take my word for it. Kind of read what we type. Everybody is like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I think Warner Brothers realized this last year because the same weekend that Game of Thrones ended was also the same weekend that Disney released the Avengers Endgame. And what Saturday Night Live did was paired the two brands together, and that's when things got a little bit ugly, because after that Saturday Night Live skid, all the coverage for Game of Thrones was negative by these online presence people, and that's not really adequate to how that amazing show kind of ended. It was more so that, how dare you steal the the Avengers Endgame cloud? Because people were like, hey, here's the weekend, Avengers Endgame, we're gonna be trending, and all of a sudden Game of Thrones with one amazing episode. It wasn't even like the end of the show, it was just one episode. Everyone was like, fuck, this is amazing. And that's when the jealousy started. And I think that's when Warner Brothers was like, hey, what the fuck, we have this amazing fan base. I think in the year 2016, AT&T gave a shout out to, AT&T or Warner Brothers gave us a shout out that we contributed like almost $5 billion in merch. Not like ticket sales or like Six Flags or pay-per-view or no, just merch, like t-shirts, cups, and you name it. Like, that's a lot of fucking money. So anyways, I think that's when Warner Brothers was kind of seeing how the teasers also from Zack Snyder himself were kind of coming in, and it got everybody excited to the point where, like, last year in Comic-Con, Jason Momoa was like, fuck yeah, I want to see it, the Snyder Cut. And shortly after that, Zack Snyder invited him to view it, and we got that amazing, picture where Jason Momoa was like, yeah, it exists, I saw it, it's awesome. And that kind of got the ball rolling even more so. Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, Ray Fisher, Jason Momoa, they were all kind of like on this. And it's also it's a coincidence that, in between February and March, there was this, I want to say like YouTuber, I'm not even going to say who he is, who was like, my sources telling me there is nothing. And we just learned from the media today that like, actually that's around the time when all these executives were invited to Zack Snyder and Deborah Snyder's home and were screened that cut, that was like 90% done. And they were they worked out a plan to not just finish just a 10%, but also add more. And I think that meeting was, if COVID-19 hadn't happened, they would have started shooting those scenes right away. I think we would have just gotten that 90% finished plus a 10. They would have just said, okay, let's release it when, HBO Max is good to go in May. But because of COVID-19, all these amazing actors could not come back to go back and fill in their roles. So looks like the plan right now, it's 2021, but also looks like the original 2-part script draft is going to be incorporated. And also, since there's a movie called New Gods by Ava, she is working Darkseid in there. And because the script also contains Darkseid, you could see changes. Also, the the amazing cast and crew of The Flash, they're working on their story. Things could be incorporated there. I know that Patty Jenkins is not only working on a modern Wonder Woman 3 that doesn't happen in 1984, but just a modern Wonder Woman film, but she is also working on a spin-off called The Amazons. And we know that James Wan is producing a horror movie based on The Trench from Aquaman. So we are already seeing a lot of these amazing, side projects. For instance, David Ayer is very excited to maybe go back and re-edit his original take for, the Suicide Squad. That could also be inserted in there in this new timeline. And that's how easy it is to keep going forward, you really don't need to recast everybody or just change everything. You can just say something that the Flash changed in the timeline, because guess what, the Flash has already appeared on the CW Flash. There was an amazing shot of Ezra Miller meeting Grant from the CW Flash. So we already have 2 Flashes meeting each other. And that's a very continuity band-aid, I guess you can call it, to work out any kinks of saying, hey, how come this happened in this movie, but all of a sudden here it's different? Simple fix. That's what the multiverse is about. But anyways, so now that we got it out of the way, we can kind of see on our timeline, on Twitter, on Facebook, and Instagram, all these people are super thankful, super supportive. Like I said, don't take my word for it, just see how happy we are. And I haven't even mentioned all the stuff that we've done for charity purposes and things like that. That'll be on my other podcast. This is just pure excitement for what was announced today. And yeah, I think we can all agree that 2021 can get here sooner. And we're all just going to be excited. If someone is mean to you online, just take screenshots and be like, hey, don't be mean to me. That's one of the things that most of us have endured for the past 3 years. We don't go out of our way to ridicule people, but we do put people in their place. I don't know about you guys, but as a minority, I don't take shit from anybody. And anybody who tells you to lay down and take it, you're just kind of a bully. And great power comes great responsibility, right? And what we've experienced over the past 3 years is that all these media master clickbaiters want all the power and none of the responsibility. They just say, I'm an entertainer, I don't have to be respectful to any fandom, I'm just here to entertain and make fun of things. Whereas, one angry comment, reply from a fan gets exaggerated times 1,000 or 1,000,000. It's like, see, all of you guys are this bad. And I think when you do that, you kind of have an axe to grind. If you know anybody in politics who is, uses one example to be like, oh, you see, all you people are bad because of this one fucking person. And I think that's how these media people act. Meanwhile, if you have an entire toxic fan base, and you constantly point out, like, look, so many people are doing this, 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 and the media doesn't really listen to you, then you kind of go, what the fuck? If you can, go check out Mark Maron's latest Netflix comedy special. He takes a shot of the Marvel fans who are mean to him. We here in DC land, we don't have a comedian making fun of us. We didn't target harassed anybody. We're fucking chill. But that's not the narrative that people who for more than 10 years kind of supported the Marvel universe because it gave them revenue to their websites. That's not what they want to accept, and all you gotta say is just look at Star Wars, man, and how much toxicity that shit has awakened by these other fandoms that are actually toxic. But anyways, I'm gonna release another podcast on the weekend, so stay tuned. It'll be, I wouldn't say salty, but it's funny. It's vindication time. We waited a long time for this. And yeah, if if you're happy and you know it, support the HBO Max. Just give them nothing but love. All right, guys. See you on the Sunday. Thank you.